Have you ever felt like you're trying so hard, but your life just isn't changing? Every day feels exactly the same. You wake up, go to work, feel exhausted. The man's name was Thomas, a 32-year-old night security guard, working in a large warehouse. Every evening at 8 p.m. he began his shift, and by 6 a.m. the next morning, he returned home completely exhausted. His life was painfully simple: a small, suffocating room, an old fan rattling endlessly, and a thin mattress laid directly on the floor. His salary was just enough to survive, nothing more, nothing less, no savings, no hope. But what hurt Thomas the most wasn't the poverty. It was the feeling of being stuck. He worked hard every single night. Yet deep down, he knew one thing for certain. His life wasn't moving forward, not even a little. Then go to sleep, only to repeat it all over again the next morning, like an endless loop with no way out. You're not lazy, you're not incapable, but deep down, you know, you're stuck. This is the story of a man who once lived that exact life. No money, no future, not even a hint of hope. But in just 90 days, his life completely transformed. And it all started with a decision that most people would consider too small to make any difference. Every morning, as Thomas left his shift, he walked through streets still covered in mist. And on his way home, he saw things that made his heart feel heavy. Families sitting together, having breakfast. Children getting ready for school. Men in neatly pressed shirts, starting a brand new day. While he was ending his in exhaustion. There was always a question echoing in his mind. Is my life going to be like this forever? Every week, his mother would call. Her voice grew weaker over time. Thomas, my son, when will your life get better? He would pause for a few seconds, then force a smile. Soon, Mom, I'm trying. But after the call ended, that smile disappeared. Because deep down, he knew he wasn't moving forward at all. He wasn't lazy. He worked hard every single night. But the more he worked, the more it felt like he was running in place. And what hurt him the most wasn't being poor. It was the feeling of helplessness, of not knowing where to even begin to change his life. One cold morning, just as Thomas finished his shift, his phone suddenly buzzed. It was his younger sister. Her voice was trembling. Thomas, come home right now. Mom collapsed. She's in the hospital. His heart nearly stopped. He rushed onto the first bus back to his hometown. The 3-hour journey felt endless. When he arrived, he saw his mother lying in a hospital bed, far weaker than the last time he had seen her. Her hand trembled slightly as she held his. She spoke in a faint voice. Thomas, I don't have much time left. Don't live the same life I did, working hard your whole life and going nowhere. You have to find a way to change. Promise me. Thomas couldn't respond. His throat tightened. For the first time in his life, he truly felt like a failure. That night, he stepped outside the hospital. The sky was still dark, but in the distance, the first light of dawn was slowly appearing. And in that very moment, Thomas made a decision that would later change his entire life. I can't keep living like this, not for another day. On the bus ride back to the city, Thomas sat in silence, his mind still tangled after everything that had just happened. But then, he noticed a man sitting across from him. The man was neatly dressed, calm-eyed, reading a book while the rest of the bus was still half asleep. Thomas recognized him, a successful businessman in the area. What surprised him wasn't who the man was, but the timing. It was only 6 a.m. Gathering his courage, Thomas asked, Sir, why do you wake up so early? The man smiled. Because it's the only time I can truly build my life, while the rest of the world is still asleep. Thomas hesitated. But I work night shifts. I don't have time. The man looked straight at him and said slowly, It's not that you don't have time, it's that you're using your time the wrong way. You're awake when the world sleeps, and asleep when the world is building. That's why your life isn't changing. Thomas froze. The man continued, Listen, from 5 a.m. to 7 a.m., those are 2 hours that can change your entire future, but only if you have the discipline to use them. For the first time in a long while, Thomas didn't feel hopeless anymore. He felt something he had forgotten for so long, The next day, Thomas did something he had never done before. He completely changed his daily routine. And when he met the man again, he was introduced to a simple yet powerful system. "Listen carefully," the man said, his voice firm. "From 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. That's the time you build the foundation of your life." He took out a notebook and wrote, "First hour, learn a skill. No entertainment, no social media. Only focus on something that can increase your income. Second hour, build yourself. Exercise, read, reflect, and plan your day." Thomas listened intently. The man continued, 3 rules. Don't skip a single day. Go to bed on time and push through the first 21 days because that's the hardest part." He looked straight at Thomas and said, "If you do this for 90 days, your life will never be the same again." For the first time, Thomas didn't just have motivation. He had a clear path to change his life. Thomas's first days were truly brutal. Every morning at 5 a.m., when the alarm rang, his entire body felt like it was about to collapse. After long night shifts, his eyes burned, his head spun, and his body felt as heavy as lead. There were moments when all he wanted was to turn off the alarm, pull the blanket over himself, and sleep a little longer. But every time he felt that urge, the image of his mother lying in the hospital bed flashed in his mind. That alone forced him to sit up no matter how exhausted he was. He started small. At first, basic Excel tutorials, then accounting, then learning how to organize his work more effectively. After studying, he would go for a walk, read a bit more, and train himself to live with discipline. After about 3 weeks, his body began to adapt. By the second month, he was not only stronger, but also more confident. And by the third month, the skills he had learned started to create real value in his work. From a night security guard living in despair, Thomas had begun to see the first door leading to a completely new life. 3 months later, Thomas was no longer the same person. The man who once lived in exhaustion, frustration, and a futureless routine had become a completely different version of himself. By consistently waking up early and learning Excel every day, Thomas didn't just gain knowledge. He began to see his work from a whole new perspective. He noticed inefficiencies in warehouse management and took the initiative to create a more structured tracking system on his own. A simple idea, but it made a powerful difference. When he presented it to his manager, everyone was impressed. And within a short time, Thomas was offered a new position in accounting, a better, more stable job with significantly higher income. For the first time in his life, he was no longer just surviving. He was truly moving forward. He could afford a better place to live, take better care of himself, and most importantly, bring his mother to live with him and give her a more comfortable life. But the most valuable thing Thomas gained wasn't money. It was the feeling of being in control of his own life. Life doesn't change overnight, but it can change direction from a single small decision. If you're waiting for an opportunity, remember this: that opportunity might begin tomorrow morning. And if you truly want to change your life, start now and never give up. Comment 5 as your commitment to begin.